What's going on, Shroomies and Shroomettes? It's your guy with the fungi, EazyBlueThumb, and we are back with another one. And in today's video, we got a cool little experiment going on. So I have this bag right here, and this is pretty much one of my incubation boxes. And I keep my bags down in here while they colonize. And I've decided, let's try to fruit this bag with zero light. So that's exactly what we are going to do. Let's get it. Let's go. Hey, let me give you guys a quick rundown on this grow and exactly what we have going on. So to start off, our grains, we are using our whole grain brown rice that we prepared at home. The substrate is Coco Coir only, prepared using our bucket tech. All of this beauty wrapped inside of our Olympus Myco Lightning fruiting bag. Now, for this grow, it's been inside of my incubation box this whole time. I have not opened it once since it's been in there. Maybe a month or so, a couple weeks. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but it hasn't seen any light. So we think, okay, it's mycelium. Mycelium doesn't need light to spread and do its thing. So what we're gonna do is we are going to fruit this using absolutely no light, and we're gonna see what the results from that particular experiment will give us. So I'm gonna go ahead, slice this baby open, introduce fresh air, and we're gonna stuff it right back into our bin, and we'll check on it every 2 or 3 days. So we're gonna go ahead and add our rubber bands. And the purpose of adding the rubber band is to cut off the air circulation, essentially, for the bottom portion, and the mushroom will fruit at the top, so we wouldn't have the side pin situations. Essentially, that's what we do. But if you don't pack the Coco Coir or whatever your substrate is tightly, then you'll have air pockets, and when you put the rubber band on, regardless, it'll still have some fruit down below those rubber bands. So you just want to be mindful of that. And I like to do a little rolling method and pulling on the bag to keep it nice and tight. When you just add the rubber bands, I find that, it still has some air in there. But if you give it a nice roll, it kind of gets a bit tighter, depending on what rubber bands you got. Now at this point, we wipe down our bag with our 70% ISO, sterilized our scalpel. And what I'm doing right now, which I didn't notice, you can't see, but I'm making a nice little horizontal slice about an inch under our filter patch. There we go. And at this point, we want to introduce some fresh air. So we're going to give the bag a nice little waft. Just grab each side, give it a couple pumps up and down, and the bag will fill with some nice fresh air, and we are good to go. All right, so now that we have our slice made for fruiting conditions, our rubber bands wrapped so that way we can have upward growth in our mushrooms, We're gonna place this bad boy back in the bin. And let's check the temperature, which is at a nice 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's the optimal range for me. I like to keep everything from 80 to 70 degrees. So we're good to go. Close it up. And we'll see you in a few. Yeah. Got that Amsterdam red light district vibe going on. But hey, I'm only using this light for the filming process, which is about a minute or so. I grab a couple of shots, and that's about it. Everything else is done in complete darkness. We are keeping true to the experiment. Now let's take a quick look inside and see this beautiful mycelium coverage. Smells amazing. Looks great. Everything is good to go. Beautiful hypho knotting all over. And we don't see any contaminants, even though it's kind of hard to see with this red light. Everything looks good. So we got no complaints at all. Let's go, baby. Okay, 14 days in fruiting conditions. Now, Shroomies, I'm gonna be honest. I've been on the neglect tech side of things. It's been about 5 days since I've opened this bin, since I've checked on the mushrooms, since I've even touched this. 5 days. So we're gonna take a peek inside, take a nice little whiff, see if everything smells good. And look, we have, we got some fruit down there, baby. Let's go. All right. Feel better about that. Take a nice little side profile. And we have a lot of pins in here. We have a lot of pins. And I do notice that the cap of the mushrooms are very tiny. They look like little pinheads compared to the actual stipe of the mushroom. It's weird looking. There we go, down there at the bottom. You see just a pinhead of a cap. Everything looks good, smells good. Let's go, baby. 14 days in fruiting conditions. And we finally have some action. So from right here at this point, I'm gonna say that light is not a huge factor because we have fruit. We're gonna watch and see how they develop, of course, you know, throughout the duration without having that light source. But we have fruit. That's what we came for. We got it. Let's go. We have a nice cluster down below, and we do have some forming along the edge. So it's going to be nice to see how they develop out throughout the next few days. I'm hyped, baby. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do a process called burping. Well, I call it burping. I don't know who else calls it burping. But we want to clear the carbon dioxide that forms in there. And we want to introduce some nice, clean, fresh air. Because you'll notice if your mushrooms do not have enough fresh air, they'll have some fuzzy feet or a fuzzy base of the stem. And that is formed because they need more oxygen. So we'll do a quick reset, get some nice fresh air inside there, close up our bin, and let it do its thing. Yes, sir. 17 days in fruiting conditions. Let's see. But in the meantime, we're going to run a quick Google search. Does mushrooms need light to grow? Mushrooms do not require light to grow as they are not photosynthetic. Instead, they obtain their nutrients from organic matter such as decaying wood, compost, or manure. Therefore, whether mushrooms are grown in natural or artificial light is generally not a critical factor for their growth. So, for the sake of the experiment, and just because I'm no scientist, but I'm going to use just a little bit of logic, maybe me using the red light during the quick filming process, the mushroom is still able to process that light in whichever way they may need until the next 2 or 3 days where I record again and use the red light. So we're just going to throw that out there as that can also be a possible factor on why the mushrooms look the way they look. But I'm noticing that the caps are very small in comparison to the stem or the stipe. But everything else looks really well. The smell is great. I don't smell anything different or anything funny. I can't really tell along the edges if those are aborts or not, because as I'm using the red light as well for me to see anything that maybe look funny in the grow. It's not the easiest to spot out, but everything smells and looks good so far. As you can see, what I mean about the caps looking super tiny on them, that little cluster right there, we're just gonna wait for the caps to just develop up and see how they look once we harvest and actually get some real light on it. I do want to mention that there are 2 factors that are way more important to your grows than your light, and that is your humidity and your temperature levels. Those are way more important than your light source. We need to make sure that our humidity is up and our temperatures are relatively comfortable. We don't want it to be too hot because then that's when we get the nasties. But we'll talk about that in a future video. Now again, before we put it back inside our bin, we're just gonna burp out whatever carbon buildup that we have in there. Get some fresh air going. And we want to actually be very gentle with this as well because we have those mushrooms down towards the end and we don't want to knock those off the substrate. Go ahead and reset. We'll check on it another 2 or 3 days. Gonna grab this thermometer and see what the temperatures are looking like. And we're about 77 degrees in there. So that's pretty good. All right. Let's go, man. I'm excited about this. Everything looking good. Everything looking good. Shroomies, we are in the final stretch. It has been a long 20 days in fruiting conditions, but the mushrooms look amazing. They look weird, as mushrooms do, but they are thriving inside of this bag, and they are thriving with no light. So I do hope that this video and this experiment was able to knock out a lot of you guys' questions about lights and hours of light and time breaks for light. It's all up to you. If you decide you want the mushrooms to have 5 minutes to 12 hours to 6 hours to 8, it's all up to you. If you need to use your light as an ambient heat source, then you need to set it to 12. That's fine. Do what you need to do. The mushrooms are going to grow regardless. The thing with mushrooms that I've learned is patience. Patience, preparation, humidity, and temperature levels. Those are the keys to a successful grow. Now let's take a look inside this bag at 20 days in fruiting conditions. And to me, this looks like a normal mushroom grow. We have some crazy looking fruit. We have some pins still developing, still forming. Smells great, looks good. We don't have fuzzy feet on our mushrooms, so that means we've been doing a good job at burping that carbon dioxide buildup and giving our mushrooms that fresh air. We're gonna let these mushrooms rock out for another day or so. And hopefully those smaller ones will fully develop and we'll have ourselves a nice nocturnal harvest. All right. Quick little burp action before we put it back in our bin. 2 thumbs up, good to go. And we'll check on it in about another day or so. Grab the thermometer before we close up shop. Like I said, it's hard to see in this red light, but the temperatures read about a 77 degrees. It's a bit on the warmer side, but it's not so bad. The AC will be on at nighttime anyways. All right. Yeah, it's about that time, baby. Let's go. Harvest day. 21 days in fruiting conditions, and we are ready to harvest. All right. Let's take a peek inside the bag, see what we have. Man, it's been a long road, but I'm ready to pick some of these, see what they look like under real light. As you can see, we still have some massive mushrooms. Whether or not we have light on the grow, it doesn't look like it really made any type of difference. These things are some fat boys. If the bag wasn't containing them, they'll probably just fall out and rip right off of the substrate. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my scalpel and I'm just gonna heat it up, even though I don't even think that's necessary at this point. But we're gonna cut the bag for our hoodie tech so that way we can go for extra flushes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut along maybe about a centimeter or two above our rubber band and just go along the bag, get a nice clean cut so that way it folds back like a hoodie. And just leave a nice little attachment in the rear. Look, and there we go, straight to the ground. These mushrooms are definitely heavy. Go ahead and tuck the bag in the back. And we have some crazy looking pins down under these huge fruit. Can't wait to get these babies under some actual light, see what they look like. I'm definitely curious to see how the caps look and to see what color they are. I can tell those in the back are a bit darker, of course, but this big one and this one right here to the left, definitely lighter in color with that cap. So wait to pull these things out and see. Come on, guys. I know I'm always talking alien planet this and alien planet that. These mushrooms look out of this world, but this is straight out of a scene from Total Recall. These things look crazy. All right, now that we have all of our mushroom harvested, what I'm gonna do is spray some of our 9.5 pH water inside of the bag so that way we can up our humidity levels, and hopefully the rest of those pins will form up and maybe we'll get some more fruit going. So you want to just pull the bag over itself. Be careful you don't knock any pins off like I did right now. And I'm just going to add some tape just to secure it. And we're going to stuff it right back in our bin. Nice and simple, clean harvest. Hopefully we get to harvest the rest of those mushrooms in there, because we got some chunks right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go, baby. Hey, you would not know that these were grown with zero light if we did not tell you. There's nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we do have some crazy thick and dense stipes and some small caps, but nothing crazy. The mushroom grew. The mushroom was able to prosper, and they look mighty healthy to me with zero light. So I do hope that this experiment was able to answer a lot of you guys' questions as far as light cycles and anything with lighting. I do think that we need to focus more on other things instead of lighting. Our humidity and temperature levels are most important in our grows. I like to keep my humidity up and my temperatures from 70 degrees to 80 degrees. Lighting is not a factor. No light, no worries. Shroomies, I appreciate y'all for rocking with your boy. Y'all be easy. Peace. EazyBlueThumb.com is up and running. We have t-shirts, hoodies, slides. Go cop your granny a mug while you're at it. I appreciate the love and support. Go check it out. EazyBlueThumb.com. Let's go.